Record-ology.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Okay, tonight we're playing with this beast right here. This is my beautiful 1980 CCR81 computer cassette recorder. What does that mean? What the heck? It's just like a shoebox tape player, right? Well, yes. It's a really good one too. We're running off batteries, by the way, tonight. But it's got a little extra capability. You could pair this with your Radio Shack computer and actually use this as a disk drive. And when we reviewed this a few months ago, we talked about that. So it's going to be a two-way test between the Electra crystal microphone from my Electra reel-to-reel and this Panasonic condenser mic, which is just sort of a generic condenser mic. Now, you will notice on the bottom of this microphone, you've got two prongs. One is the mono input for, not input, is the mono jack for the audio, and then the other is the jack for, I guess it's not a jack, because a jack would be the receptacle plug. Anyway, the one is for the audio, one is for the remote control, because when hooked up to the Electra, you can actually start and stop, the tape machine with the remote. However, this particular one, which does have a remote jack, it's partially how the you can see the remote right there. It doesn't line up right on this unit, so we're gonna just put the audio part in and that down under. This guy functions much in the same way. However, it got clipped somewhere along the way, so we can just use it as a mic only. We've lost that ability to start and stop with this, but really it's not that big of a loss in my estimation. So let us, again, no subliminal messages here. What is he talking about? Nothing but pure entertainment for your YouTube pleasure. I'm just going to go ahead and put this cassette tape in here, and we will use this to test with. So we are rewound. This is just, by the way, a generic Type 1 ferric oxide RCA cheapo tape. So let's go ahead and plug this in. I have never used this mic with this tape recorder before. So let's find out how it works. I've got this really tied up here. Bear with me here. Okay, this is a microphone test. We are testing with the Electra remote control mic from my Electra model TC501. I did read that. It's right off camera here. Reel-to-reel tape recorder. But we have it plugged in right now to the TRS-80. And by the way, this is actually the CCR-81. But if you notice, the record and battery light functions as a little VU indicator. So we can test that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know our signal is getting into the device, which is good. By the way, as far as shoebox players go, this thing is, even without the batteries in it, it is a beast. It is a tank. All right, now we're going to plug in this. And then we'll just play them back to back, and we can see which is better. I'm assuming the Panasonic will sound better, but you never know. Okay, continuing our audio test. This is the Panasonic WM2241 microphone. And I don't know why, but for some reason these kinds of YouTube channels feel like obligated to say back the model number. So I am doing so. You also see that the record battery light indicator flashing LED thingy is doing its job. For both of these, I'm holding the microphone about 5 inches from my mouth, so hopefully that gives enough sound pressure to get a good recording. By the way, this is an AC bias machine, so it should give us a good, clean recording, unlike our Tyler shoebox recorder, which is DC bias, and you may or may not know this, but there's a big difference. So, okay, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty. So, one last look at our competitors here. The Electra, put that on the left, that went first. And then the Panasonic went second. Now we got nothing to do but play it back. This thing has a good, strong, fast rewind mechanism. I mean, it's a joy to work with this. I mean, this is a beast. Somebody told me a few months ago when we were doing more shows with this thing, who makes it. I think they said Panasonic, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, this thing is really cool. And they're not too expensive either. Shoebox cassette players are a lot of fun. and definitely were a mainstay of the 80s. Okay, here we go. Okay, I have switched to the front-facing microphones. That's why the audio sounds a little bit different. But this way, you can get good representation of what the speaker's hearing. So the microphones are front-facing now, because before I was using the rear-facing vocal mic. So without further ado, let's see how these mics stack up.
We are testing with the Electra remote control mic from my Electra model TC501. I did read that. It's right off camera here. Reel-to-reel tape recorder. But we have it plugged in right now to the TRS-80. And by the way, this is actually the CCR-81. But if you notice, the record and battery life functions as a little VU indicator. So we can test that. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, continuing our audio test. This is the Panasonic WM2241 microphone. And I don't know why, but for some reason these kinds of YouTube channels feel like obligated to say back the model number. So I am doing so. You also see that the record battery light indicator flashing LED thingy is doing its job. For both of these, I'm holding the microphone about 5 inches from my mouth, so hopefully that gives enough sound pressure to get a good recording. By the way, this is an AC bias machine, so it should give us a good, clean recording, unlike our Tyler shoebox recorder, which is DC bias, and you may or may not know this, but there's a big difference. So, okay, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, guys, you can't argue with the results. The Panasonic sounded way better, way fuller, richer, and again, they're totally different technologies. I mean, this is a condenser microphone, so there's a diaphragm that the air pressure is moving, and that basically, it's interesting, in a way, these are kind of similar to magnetic and ceramic phono cartridges, because this essentially moves a magnet back and forth based on sound pressure, thereby creating an electrical signal, kind of like a moving magnetic cartridge, whereas the crystal mic is similar to a ceramic cartridge in that it uses the principles of a ceramic rod, or a crystal as it's sometimes called, and applying mechanical movement to that then can result in electrical current. So it's an interesting look at two different technologies. Interesting how yellow that goes. I think the color of the mic is throwing off the white balance. But anyway, kind of an interesting look. I'm going to back out a little bit here. At two different microphones and side-by-side testing, and I think this stuff is cool. I could do this all day long. So I hope you thought this was interesting. Tomorrow, we're going to do the same test on the reel-to-reel tape recorder, the Electra reel-to-reel. So the tape deck that this came with, we are going to try both out side by side and see how they perform. And we'll keep this tape and even compare the two units to see what renders the best voice recording. I think it's kind of interesting stuff. All right, if you guys like the show, give me a thumbs up. Definitely tell a friend about us. Share us out on your socials. And yeah, just thank you so much for being there. We appreciate you more than you know. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. Happy record hunting. We will see you tomorrow.